now, and we live. Hey, and we live. And we live. You like that, right? Hey, we live. People try to be serious, but you gotta, be real about it. There we go. All right, so today we are out here with the brothers, but we came to really speak to one brother, and that's the oldest brother. And we want you to introduce yourself because I don't like to introduce people because I feel like you never really get the real introduction that you deserve as a person sometimes. So I want you to tell them your name first. And then
Sharod, Tomlinson.
Okay, so like I always say, I'll be like, I don't know how I find all these people from Left Rack, but this is another dude that's from Left Rack. This guy's too. And what I know all these people from, and I always say it, is basketball. That's how we all started out.
Yeah, it's it's like a fraternity kind of all of us who grew up in Left Rack, played basketball. You know what I mean? That's all we did during the summers or even after school. You know what I mean? Like you did your homework, put your books down, and you went and played basketball, whether it was Lost Battalion or Section 2, Section 5. You know what I'm saying? We just spent all day playing basketball.
So okay, other than basketball, like when you was young, because I had interviewed, I had a conversation with one of my friends, and they was talking about how they was into art even though they was playing other sports. Like, were you into anything else other than basketball?
I've always been into like community service. Okay. So community service, not really arts and music or nothing like that. More so like community development, just really like empowering other people. I've always felt like I was in a leadership role like ever since I was a kid. So that's really what I've always been working on.
Okay, so when you was in, because I know you went to Christ the King, right?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Christ the King was a great experience. I was able to kind of like fulfill, I guess, kind of like a dream. Like I remember being in like 8th grade, 7th grade, and me and my man Sean, we went to see a Christ the King game, and I was like, this is the school I want to go to. And like basketball is basketball, it's politics and basketball.
Oh yeah.
So I dealt with the whole like being, recruited by Rice, Christ the King, and All Hallows at the time. But Christ the King was closer. And shout out to Artie Cox. Artie Cox, he definitely took care of me throughout the years, and I was always grateful to Artie and others that, Arbitello, Lemko, who just really looked out for me while I was at Christ the King. But Artie Cox, man, he's been
that's definitely
he's been like a plug. He's the plug, you know what I'm saying? And he definitely made sure I was good.
Nah, Artie Cox, he was the homie too. I definitely was playing on some of the summer teams because of him when I was younger too. Just like for the Christ the King team, because they don't really take the whole team, and sometimes they have extra spots. But he definitely was a homie. But what I want to ask, let's get into like, what are you doing now? Because we'll go from future to past and back up to.
Right, that's fine. So currently I serve as the Dean of Students at Berkeley College. I oversee a student population of close to 2,500 students at the Midtown location. In addition to that, I serve as associate minister at my church in Laurelton, St. Luke Cathedral.
Okay. Can you stop right there?
Yeah.
But associate, what is that exactly? 'Cause I don't know this, so I don't like.
As a dean of students, I oversee the student body. I handle the judicials that come across my desk. I have staff that report to me. We pretty much provide campus life for students. So outside of the classroom, we try to provide them with experience and skill sets that they would gain and learn. And no matter the field that they go into when they graduate from college, they're able to be effective in that field from the leadership experiences and other life experiences that we give them while they're students at the college.
Okay, so this is like, right now we're gonna do, since it's 2 of y'all here, we're gonna have like 2 commercial breaks. I have my little fake commercial breaks, and this is one of them, right? And the reason why I say that is because I want you to tell your social networks that they can reach you at first.
Facebook, Sharod Tomlinson. Instagram is Sharod T. And Twitter is Sharod_T, I believe. But Sharod Tomlinson, just search them all. It's the same thing.
Okay, so the reason why I say that is because we was in here and I said there's 2 people. I only introduced one because we're here to interview him today. But we are going to catch his brother one day. But we do want to tell you about something that me and him are going to do this weekend, right?
Oh, that's a fact. Sorry. I seriously forgot my Instagram name. I dead had to go check it out. My name's Jason Tomlinson, Prince the Barber. The third of the three trio. If y'all lived in Left Right y'all whole life, y'all know BJ, Sharod, and Jason.
Yes.
This weekend, actually, Rain and I will be doing free haircuts for kids for back to school. This is really a whole community day. Shout out to Mount Carmel Baptist Church, Bishop Ferguson on 71st and Beach Channel Drive. And it's going to be a real good day where the whole community is out. It's free food. They're giving away tons of school supplies, book bags. Law enforcement will be there. So, you know, with everything that's happening in our communities now, with violence, brutality, all types of stuff, I think this would be a real good way to kind of bridge that gap and bring you know, something for the community and the spirit. And Rain and I are gonna be out there serving up these free cuts. So if y'all know any folks in Far Rock,
tell them Far Rock come out. But also we're gonna get one of these police officers, just have a little conversation and just to see how they feeling about everything and how they feel about their community or where they're patrolling and a lot of other stuff. But now, don't forget, Rain check my YouTube. That's it for right now for the commercial break. Now we back. So I want to get back to more about. We stopped at your associate minister.
I'm the Dean of Students, and then I'm Associate Minister at St. Luke Cathedral in Laurelton, Queens, 232nd and Merrick. Okay. And I've been there for almost 10 years. Actually, we're celebrating 10 years of my pastor being there. Really just community active. I did youth ministry for about 8 of those 10 years, and just working with youth. It's always been a passion of mine.
How is that?
It's good. I mean, young people want to know that they have somebody to turn to. They have somebody who believes in them. They have somebody who's there for them. And not just here in New York City, but I've been fortunate to travel to do a lot of community work in Minneapolis, Philadelphia. And so it's really important that you're in a community, that young people know that you care about them and that, you know, they're appreciated. And it's allowing them to see Christ, and not just see Christ, but see a better way of living, and not have to, you know, beat them with scriptures. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you. Okay, so let me say something about that. The thing he's basically saying is that he wants to be able to help his community by showing how good of a man he is, because there are not a lot of men out there for people to see, you know, positive images. You know what I'm saying? So by him going around and he's telling his life story and he's going different places, people now can see these good images of black people or men in general, just in their life.
Yeah, and you know, like whether it's, you know, Laurelton, Jamaica, Queens, or any community I've ever been in, I really just enjoy working with not just kids but families. I think the important thing is the total family having development. You know what I mean? A lot of parents are now working all these different jobs and these longer hours, and kids need responsible people who are there with them. And also, you know, not just in community work, but in sports, youth sports. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in youth sports who just don't belong around kids.
Yeah,
who sell kids wrong, false dreams and false hopes. And you got kids who think that, oh, if I don't go Division I in basketball,
Let's stop right there. You know, I gotta stop right there. The only reason why I say that is because I want to go back a little bit about the people you have around your kids. You really need to get to know these people, because some people may seem like they're out to help, but they're really not. They're out to help themselves. That goes back to what he's saying about these people being around your kids with sports. Sports is always good to have your kids in because you want them to be active. But
parents, you got to know who your kids around.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like, there's so many pedophiles, and not just that, but there's people who will just guide your kids with wrong information. And so you think your kid, oh, he's cool because he's out playing basketball with coach such and such. But little do you know, this guy's lying to your kid about, oh, I'm gonna get you in this high school or that high school or this college or that college, and they don't know the process themselves. And so I coached AAU boys for years, and then I switched to the girls side. So probably about 15, 16 years. I have about 15 or 16 years of youth sports experience, and I've always had positive feedback from parents about the work I've done with their kids, because I tell them the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not good enough, no, you're not gonna go Division I.
But that's what they need, though.
Yeah, they need to hear the truth.
They need to hear the truth. Because a lot of kids, like I'm gonna tell you, You got a lot of kids that's out there that's good at the sports that they're in, but they want to go higher than they should be going. And the only reason why I say that is because if you want the most out of what you're going to do in a sport, you want to go somewhere that shows your talent.
Right.
Not just go and just do a little bit of your talent, like really blossom and get to your apex about it.
And I remember an episode you had on with Chris St. Rose. St. Rose, what's up, man? And he was talking about his college experience. You can go to schools and even the college coaches will lie to you. You know what I mean? And so it's important that you know, wherever your kid goes to school or whatever they do, that, you know, they're really getting the truth. They're really getting the honest and realistic, most realistic experience that they can have.
But that's what you want for your kids. Everybody always says they want the best, so they try to put their kids in these stuff, and they want to put them in the best schools and the best that. But you really have to know where you're putting your kid. Even if you put them in the best school, if you're not doing your part, you're not going to get the best out of that schooling for your kid.
Right, absolutely.
And that's just like anything else that you put them in programs. You have to do your research. You have to do your studies. Sometimes you might have to take a day or two off just to check it out, because just because you put them in there, people say stuff, you don't know what's going on with your kids in these places. So it's good to just pop up.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, and I, as an educator, as somebody who's in the community, in the faith-based sector, I'm just big on the total parent involvement. Yes. Like parents, you have to be involved in your kid's academic process. Many of you may not even know about this whole testing that takes place with kids in the K-12 system, and you just force your kids to take this exam, not knowing the biases that exist with these exams. So you really got to be a part of the whole process. You have to go to parents-teachers conference. You know what I mean? Like growing up, I mean, I remember so many kids and my friends being like, "Nah, my parents not going to parents-teachers conference." So you don't know what's going on with your kid in school.
Can I say something about that? Even if you go maybe once or out of the whole year, at least if you have their teacher's number to check in, that's another way. You gotta find different ways that's gonna work for you to be in your kid's life as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? Like they have programs now where they put the assignments on there, they put the homeworks, they put everything online where you can see it, but you probably don't even know about it as a parent.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
don't even know about it. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Can I just say something real quick?
Go ahead, bro.
I couldn't stand parent-teacher conference. You know why? Because my mother always went. And my grades was horrible. My grades was like 50, 55, 60. My brother, this one right here, I'm going to tell him, he used to call me speed limit, because that was literally my grades. 50, 65, all that, the speed limit. But I'm going to tell you, I got a 3.4 GPA now, and I never thought I would have a 3-point anything.
Yeah,
so your education is literally the parents staying on top of your kids. And it's up to you. Like, there come a point where it's not just on your friends, it's not about anybody else, it's not about your parents, but you got to take accountability for your education. I'm sorry, I just had to put my little 2 cents. And now I'm back to the head.
Let me just say one more thing about that. No, go ahead.
Nah, it's important. And, you know, like after Christ the King, I was fortunate to go away to school in Minnesota and play, you know, go to school out there and play sports out there. But then, like, going away for school, you know, it was an amazing experience. And if you can go away to school, if you're mature enough to do it, do it. But if you go away and, you know, you're not into waking up on time and doing your own assignments, like, you may need to stay home. You know what I'm saying? And I left for just other issues with nothing to do with, like, academics. But when I came back home to John Jay, like, I was focused. You know what I mean? I've currently graduated John Jay 2006. After that, I went to the new school to get my master's in nonprofit management, and currently I'm working on a doctorate in education at St. John's. And so, you know, even as an athlete, like academics still has to be a priority.
Yes,
and I know, like a lot of, you know, growing up, it wasn't stress. You know, a lot of us, you know, to do both, but it's important. Like even playing the NCAA now, you got to have a 2.3 as a freshman. But, you know, growing up, it was so many different examples of people who played sports and didn't have the grades. And, you know, it's important that you just be disciplined to do whatever work you need to do. You know, it's just critical that you're invested in your own self. Like, if you're not invested in you, nobody else will ever invest in you.
Let me. Can I break down the word investing a little bit more? And let's take it on more of a healthy way, right? And when I say this, would you want a doctor to perform a procedure on you that worked as hard as you do in class? got the same grades, was the speed limit. Would you want somebody like that? Be honest. You wouldn't want a doctor like that, so you can't go into these professions or think that you're going to get anywhere in life without studying or learning or reading, and that's investing time. When you invest, that means you got to take that time, you got to take that money maybe, and you got to really focus on what you want to get and achieve. Because you can do it.
Yeah, you know, you definitely got to invest in yourself, which currently kind of leads me to something else I'm working on. I have a company that I'm working on now called Manifest Your Dream. Like, we all have a dream to do something, you know what I'm saying? And so what I'm doing is putting together cohorts of people to give them different skill set training, so that therefore with the skill set training that they have over a 5-month span, like while they're getting this training, they're creating what I call breakthrough plan. And so creating a breakthrough plan is if you have a goal or you have a dream to be a journalist, like, so what we want to do is give you skill sets that you can operate in no matter what your degree is, no matter what field you want to go into. But along the lines, what happens is you'll create a breakthrough plan looking at your life for where you are now, for where you want to go, and we'll create a breakthrough plan to get you from your reality state to where you want to be. And so we're going to start operating cohorts pretty soon of people who just come together for these different trainings. And then also at the end of it, what we want to do is give you a shadowing experience where you can manifest your dream and have the ability to connect with somebody in the field. A lot of times people don't pursue what they want to do really and what they're really passionate about in life because of the fact that they don't have access. And so it's really just about networking, it's about making connections. And so through this program of the 5-month trainings, and then at the end of it, you know, we'll partner with you with somebody where you can be able to manifest your dream in whatever field you want to go into.
Okay, so also I think something that kind of goes along with that is people really researching and understanding that they really want to get in that field. Because a lot of people say they want to get in certain fields and they do all this work and then they get there and they're like, I don't really like this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's all because they see the good side of things.
Right.
You know, they don't see the bad. They don't see that. They don't know that like every job has its ups and downs, its pros and cons.
Right.
And it just depends on your patience or your ability to know if you want to do this for the rest of your life.
And I think that's why like the model that we're taking is pretty good as far as like having these skill set trainings where you can develop you as a person. And then not only develop you as a person, but now no matter what the field you go into, you'll be able to understand different circumstances and situations and how to go about it without burning out. What happens many times is we pursue careers, even when you get on your job as an entry-level worker, you'll work crazy hours trying to prove yourself to the boss. So you'll work crazy hours trying to make sure everybody else is okay, but really within yourself, like you're burning out. Yeah. And so like, especially like if you do youth work, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you work in schools, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where you're trying to make sure your students are doing well and they're performing, or your youth ministry is going well and it's performing. But at the end of the day, you're neglecting your personal self, your personal health. And what happens is all of a sudden now you're stressed. Yeah. And 82% of stress that we all have is somebody else's problem.
But you know what that is though too? Like you're saying, it's about balance. A lot of people don't know how to balance or manage their time. And not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but you got to figure it out. I think it's like you're saying, that would be a great program or a great thing to have somebody to help them figure that out.
Right. And I was just about to talk about balance because that's one of the things that I do a lot of workshops on. It's actually, I got the model from the DeVos Urban Leadership Training that I went through. And so now it's actually a college class that I teach at the college I work at on work-life balance. Like you got to have some type of balance. Balance is not a destination, it's a journey, but it requires that you constantly reevaluate your schedule and where you're spending your time. A lot of us are wasting time. We waste time, you know, whether it's on social media all the time, whether we're just doing things that are just not beneficial. And so you can't tell me you want to be successful, but you're not willing to put the work in to do it. You gotta be able to balance your work life, but also understand that you need rest. If you never take a break, trust me, nobody's gonna come to you and tell you, hey, you need to take a break.
Yeah, it's the truth though. I'm working on that myself right now, just doing all these interviews and trying to work and balance it with my kids and everything. It is to get tough. It definitely does. But I think when a person, if they really want something, like you said, you really got to sit down and put priorities on your table. Because everybody's always saying, what do you bring to my table? No, what do you have on your table?
Right.
How are you managing your table? And then you got to see if you can add somebody or something else to it.
Right. And the other thing is you can't put yourself on clearance because of other people. Oftentimes when you are passionate about what you're doing and you develop a brand and you got a quality body of work, like people don't want to pay. You know what I mean? People think like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like this is my boy Rain, this is supposed to be free. Like this is my brother Jason. Like this haircut's not free. You know what I mean? Like I'm with
hell no.
like this is not free. This is my brother, but I still because I'm investing in his business. You know what I'm saying? And what happens oftentimes is like everybody's looking for a hookup. And if those of you who like reading, pick up this book called The Valley of Dry Bones, where it talks about the fact how many businesses in our communities or many people in our communities, when they have a passion, they don't pursue it because everybody's looking for like the handout, everybody's looking for a hookup, but yet you'll go invest in somebody else and never look for a discount. And so when I say that is because don't put yourself on clearance. If like I've studied, I know what it is to run a nonprofit, how to run a nonprofit. And so when I do consulting, like that comes with a price, you know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that I've invested to go to school, get this education, and invested in myself. So therefore, if I'm invested in myself, surely I'm not going to give information out for free all the time.
No, I understand. But I get what you're saying, and I think people should be more like that when it comes to supporting somebody that's doing something, because then they always say, oh, why that person ain't doing nothing? But when they try to do something, nobody really supported them.
And that's the other thing. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in different communities and different places, and really a lot of people don't show up to what matters, right? Like we'll show up to a party, but if somebody's doing a seminar on how to better your health or better something else, people don't show up. So we enjoy the fun stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everything has its proper place. But I think like when there's educational things that are taking place, like you gotta invest in yourself. You gotta be willing to get information. Like you gotta be able to read. You know what I'm saying? If you're passionate about something, like what was the last book you read about something that you're passionate about?
I don't know. I know I'm right now. I'm on my I didn't get into this one yet, but I want to read The Secret, and I'm reading something of The Gift of Imperfection.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Yeah.
That's a good book.
Yeah. So I'm reading those two books right now, but I got stuck because a lot of work, and I'm trying to get like my way I'm moving to Atlanta, so I'm trying to make sure I have everything set up. But once I get out there, I know I have a little bit more time because it's much slower than New York City, so it's much easier.
Yeah,
but
and even when like a lot of people talk about relocating, it's cool to relocate. Just make sure you set up properly. Like I think what happens sometimes is people look at like the glam, and somebody else's glam may not be your glam. You know what I mean? And you just gotta stay in your lane, pursue what you're passionate about, because like it's important that you gotta stay in your lane. You know what I mean? What causes the most accidents? You cross into somebody else's lane. And so stay in your lane. Do what you're passionate about. Do what you can perfect. Like perfect your craft. You know what I mean? And the more and more you perfect your craft, you have the ability to be successful.
Oh yeah, so somebody was just saying they need to get into more reading. Sade, she was like, you right about that? So we just, I know that's, see that's the struggle, reading. Because that's the struggle, because some people, they can read it, but then they also feel like they're missing out on something because of the internet now.
See, and that's the thing. So like the internet is good, it has its proper place, but you gotta read. You know what I mean? Like you gotta make sure where you get information from is credible. And oftentimes where people get information is not credible. And so the internet is good, tablets are good, but read it. Like you can't gain knowledge without reading. It's critical that you read and then open your mind up to new things.
All right, let's bring it back real quick. I want to really get into something that you went through that was like a real hard, like something that was really hard for you to get kind of past, or you got past it though, or if you're not, if you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, like I think separations and as divorce happens, like that's tough.
No. We want to talk about you. You got divorced?
You as a child. So I mean,
no. Well, you can go. You can. Oh, you can pick because we went through middle school, we went through high school and college, so you can pick one of those times.
I mean, I've had academic failure. I was at a point where I was in my master's program and they were going to kick me out of school, and you know I went through that, and now, like I said, I graduated. I'm working on my doctorate now. I think also, like I am a single father, so you know all you single fathers out there, I totally understand where you're coming from, and you know like relationships, like it happens. You know what I'm saying? Like people go through relationships. You go through situations where relationships work out, and sometimes relationships don't work out, and so. I think the major thing is not worrying about what everybody else thinks about your breakup or your divorce or your separation. Like at the end of the day, like you at the end of the day have to come behind closed doors and be comfortable with who you are. Too many people front for social media. Too many people front for other people and try to impress the streets and try to act like everything is okay. Like, no, I'm honest about it. Hey, I was in a situation, I was in a relationship, it didn't work out the way I thought it would, and you know, but you mature, you handle things the right way. I have an amazing 3-year-old son, and those of you who follow me on my page, you see my son is my everything, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how difficult the situation is, you have a responsibility to handle, you have a responsibility to take care of, and so you should never negate your children and your responsibilities. Even if children aren't your responsibility, you never negate your responsibility no matter what it is.
Yeah, so we can talk about that real quick for like another 2 minutes, right? Or 5 minutes. I want to talk about the struggle of being a single parent, right? Still trying to do what you have to do, but always having that other half of the, you know, other parent kind of making it a little difficult for you or for a person.
I think you got to reach a place of maturity on both ends.
Okay.
And understand that this is not about you two as adults. It's about the child. At the end of the day, like the child didn't ask to be here, and you weren't in chaos or dysfunction when you had the child. So what you got to understand is, hey, let's put our egos aside. Let's get back to the table and learn how to communicate. Oftentimes, why situations don't work out is communication. And oftentimes, you know, people are not really ready for the responsibility when they lay down together. And so, I mean, that wasn't my situation, but that's what happens in some situations where people aren't ready for the responsibility. And so no matter what happens, you just got to learn how to talk and communicate. And communication will, it will allow you to make better informed decisions. Okay, most people don't make proper decisions because of lack of communication.
Let's talk about this, and this will be the last thing, right? Let's talk about, if you can give us like 3 things that can better a communication between 2 individuals.
So one, I would say, be open-minded. Like, you're not always right. You know what I mean? You're not always right. So being open-minded, listening without being defensive. I think it's critical that you listen and not have an answer. You know what I mean? Like, so give the person the opportunity to say what they're gonna say, get off their chest before you want to lash out at them, and you know, and respond. Like, you know, it's not, you don't have to respond all the time, and sometimes it's better if you don't say anything. Like, if you don't have, if it's not gonna make the situation better, then why be petty? Oftentimes people are petty. When they're angry, they're petty. Yeah. And so they say things to try to get under people's skin. Like, when you were in a great relationship, you may have shared things with this person about your personal family. You may have shared things with them about your personal life. And so it's not for you in that moment to now bring that stuff up and throw it back in their face because you're angry or you're mad. Never talk in anger. Oftentimes when people are angry, it's the best time not to say nothing, because you're going to say something that later on you may regret. And so, like, I always, on everything I write choose better. And it's important that you choose the better option, you choose the better way, and understand that, hey, you know what, I may be wrong in this moment, let me hear this person out. Or, hey, you know what I mean, like, you know what, you're a really good person. Learn how to compliment people.
Yes,
and that's something.
And listening is really
that's something, especially in New York, we don't do well. I love going to the South or Midwest, because you see people, they say, hey, how you doing? They're willing to talk to people, compliment people. New York, it seems like we're so angry all the time. You know what I mean? And so we can't really appreciate other people because of our own insecurities and issues and problems. Like, learn how to appreciate somebody.
Thank you.
It's other than somebody's funeral.
You're welcome. You know, those are some good words. Thank you. You're welcome. Really listen to a person. Sometimes, like you said, you may listen to somebody and they may still be wrong, but by you listening, it might change the whole situation instead of always having to be heard.
Yeah. There's a book by Richard DeVos, DEVOS. He is an amazing man, amazing family, and so it's called the 10 Powerful Phrases. And so whether you want to use this book, it has 10 powerful phrases that you can use with your kids, you can use with your spouse, you can even use it on your job. And it's 10 powerful phrases, that these short phrases, simple as thank you, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And they're 10 powerful phrases that you don't really understand until you start using them, how they'll be able to affect somebody else and make somebody else.
That sounds good though. You need to use some of those. But this is going to be our last commercial break right now. We're going to definitely tell them again some of your social media so we can definitely check you out and hit you up. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can inbox me on Facebook, Sharod Tomlinson, TOMLINSON. Instagram is Sharod T, and Twitter is the same thing. So you can find me on there, any one of those social media pages.
Okay, so this is the last thing I'm going to say. We definitely going to... we're going to get a panel, right? And the panel's going to be him, we're going to have Miss Sharon, and we got another gentleman. And we're going to try to set this up soon. Until then, definitely hit him up if y'all have any kind of questions about life.
Yeah, feel free to inbox me, whatever questions, or whether it's about school, whether it's about sports, whether it's about church, Christ. You know, it's really important that we live a better life. We live a life that is one that God is pleased with, and we all make mistakes. Let's understand this. And this is the last thing I'm going to say before I go tonight. We all make mistakes. We all have shortcomings. We all have issues. But there's a way that you bounce back. You know what I mean? You recover from what you're going through, and understand that you have the ability to speak life into your own life, and you ain't got to wait for nobody else to encourage you. Take yourself out on your own date. Go to the movies by yourself. Just enjoy life. You spent all your childhood enjoying life. Why in your adulthood would you live miserable?
And I like that. You know why? Because this brings me right to what I always say. Get your own on your own. You got to prepare yourself. Get yourself ready before you can help anybody else. And I want to send a shout out to my daughter because she over here knocked out sleep. Right here, that's my #1 fan. I love her. You know what I mean? But thank you again. We definitely going to come back. And we out.